Hey people, welcome to the channel, and I want to do this video about the Charlie Kirk magic bullet situation because at least for me, it all makes perfect sense. I've seen so many bad takes, even from people that are experts in their fields in forensics, but obviously not quite in terms of ballistics, and they just throw things like, yeah, ballistics do strange things at times. No, they don't. It's actually very scientific, and it's almost like mathematical, what you can expect, depending on the projectile, the weight, the speed, and whatnot. These are all things that we know, we can measure them, so there's really no magic here, and there's really no confusion if you know what you're talking about. Bear with me, stay for this video, you'll probably reach the same conclusions I did. As always, if you want to learn more about realistic preparedness and survival, which is what I do here, you have the channel with a lot of information. I recommend my books as well, Surviving the Economic Collapse and Street Survival Skills. In this book, there's a chapter dedicated to body armor, its applications, what kind of armor, when you would be wearing it. These are the things I've been doing for a long time. I've been shooting since I'm 15 years old. I'm almost 50 now, so it's many years of shooting. Classes, more advanced shooting classes, firearms instructor, dynamic entry, shooting in teams, even, yes, for my instructor class, advanced classes on ballistic. I've actually, sat my ass in ballistic theory classes. I don't think that a lot of people have done that. I have done that. That's why I have better understanding of some of these things that clearly a lot of people simply do not. Now, the way I see this is, first of all, assuming something that has been debated quite a bit, the idea of him wearing body armor. The official version is, no, he was not. And I go, okay, that's the official version. I still trust my eyes. I still see what I see. And if I see an entry wound that does not match a .30 caliber bullet, there's something very weird going on. That is not making any sense, all right? So also keep in mind, people lie. People lie all the time. And why would they lie in this particular case about wearing armor or not? Which, again, I don't have 100% certainty. I'm pretty sure based on many of the things we see here, right, that at least for me, it makes perfect sense that he was wearing it. He is a VIP person. He was someone that was a high-risk potential target. These things are made for such people. The compression vest with a very thin plate, these things are designed for people like that. And I also understand why you would not admit, because you don't want some lunatic going for someone's head next time. All right, so I understand why you would not share this kind of information. But if you look at the profile, what clearly seemed to be the shape of a vest, a bunch of other things, like in this picture here, Charlie was a pretty tall guy, pretty big frame, but he was also quite thin. He was not a fat guy by any means. So tall, big guy, but thin. And you see his t-shirt here being, you see mine here, you see how it goes right there in the edge of the shoulder. This is a good fit. This is my wife picking, the clothes size for me. No, I actually bought this myself, but I learned that from her. The thing that the seam should be reaching the edge of your shoulder. So this is big because you clearly see that there's almost like an inch here just dropping from his shoulder, right? And then when he's sitting, it magically adjusts to a much larger body. And this is weird going on here. If you've ever used body armor, this is how it would look wearing a compression armor vest underneath a t-shirt. Exactly this. Like what is it? Fat? He's not a fat guy. And this, floating right there. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not only because of that. One of the bigger things is in the slow motion, which I'm not going to play the more graphic video, which you probably already seen. But it's quite clear that something impacts here and something shakes him, and then there's a giant hole that does not match by any stretch of the imagination a .30 caliber. If you see a hole that is this big, that's not a .30 caliber bullet. It is about the size of this, the tip of your pinky. That's what you would barely have been able to see, not a giant hole like we all saw. That does not make any sense. And also, honestly, the shirt clearly is much tighter here, even though his arms are still, again, not a giant dude, pretty skinny. So why? Where is this mass coming? It's clearly not matching. Anyway, there's a bunch of things that show you something strange going on here, right? But when you see the slow motion video, right, and you see, and I'm not alone here. This guy here, US Overwatch, this guy is testing just that, right? He actually replicates very accurately pretty much the same thing. hitting the, and this one is a vest that, unlike what he would probably be wearing, which, you know, what I assume will happen here with a ergonomically correct but very thin steel plate that had no anti-spalling material, just deflects directly up into the neck area. Pretty much what you see here, right? He actually replicates this very well. And of course, this is a dummy. This is not a human being. The same goes for people that are looking at ballistic gel. Oh, if it had been a direct hit with a 30-06, it would have blown up. No, dude, ballistic gelatin is not intended to replicate flesh. It is just standard media, just to have a fair comparison when trying different projectiles. It's not that gelatin test is, oh, that was exactly what happens in flesh. No, it's not. It's just something that is always the same, so as to have media to compare different calibers. But just because you have 14 inches of penetration in ballistic gel does not mean you will have 14 inches of penetration in flesh. I mean, besides the point of the bone, but even if it's just human tissue, it is not going to be the same thing. It's just a way of having something standardized for objective comparison. But one of the things I believe a lot of people really don't understand, and this is also a very good channel, Ballistic High Speed, is how is it that bullets hit these surfaces and what happens, right? Unless you're shooting directly at a 90-degree angle, there's going to be some level of ricochet, deflection, or redirection, right?
2, 1.
Something like this, okay? Depending on the angle you're shooting, right? Doesn't seem to be, seems to be quite direct. But when you look at it from another angle, you see...
What does that look like? Oh, big old... Oh, it's in there. I see...
There it goes. Hits. Oh, that is like a giant ass lead coin. Where is it going? Oh, there it goes. Exactly. Guys, these are the kind of things I've been explaining in stuff like in my books. Like what happens, people assume it's going to be, it's like a ping pong table. No, it's not. It follows the trajectory of the surface that it's being shot at. These guys actually tried a different angle. Super interesting stuff. This is, of course, 9mm, but hell, this is super clear what's going on. And look at that angle. Look at that angle. Just with a little bit of an angle, you will have a lot of that lead, and I don't know exactly how much mass, 50% retention, 40%. The more of an angle, the more retention you have, the more of a redirection you will have, right? And they try all of these things. They try time and time and again. Look at this one. Look at the amount of lead that goes directly in there.
More stuck together.
More stuff together. That's the scientific term. The scientific term is exactly that. More stuff staying together as it hits and goes in the same spot, you know? And this is, keep in mind, oh, the guy was shooting from an upper position. Yeah, but this is probably very likely an anatomically, you know, a correct vest. So it has some curvature to it. Just a little bit of that curvature is more than enough to achieve that. That's why you saw that gigantic hole. That's why you saw this sort of thing happen, all right? And that's why this makes perfect sense. Because, and this is from Paramount Tactical. How is it possible that it was hit here and then it goes from here and it go, because this is the forensic analysis. It went from here and they have all of these impacts. C2, C3, C4, T1. How the hell is this going on? I'll tell you how the hell is this going on. Exactly like this. That's how it's going on. So, instead of assuming, and yes, of course, a direct hit for a 30-06, you would assume that you have an exit wound. I would at least assume, I would find it very, very strange that you don't have an exit wound. But again, I'm not assuming that. I'm assuming that there was in fact a vest. I was assuming that this was not the original point of impact. This was the original point of impact somewhere here because of the body shape that you see here in this angle. No matter how you're sitting, no matter how the guy is on the upper position, this angle is the angle of my plate, right? Very much so like you just saw. And that lead coin flies in this direction. Again, it's not a 9mm bullet like in this case. These guys are, I'm pretty sure they're shooting 9mm, right? It's not 9mm. These guys are shooting something. Look at that amount of lead going in there, right? Check that thing again. Look at it. Goes, boom. That's more of an angle, and that's a lot more retention of mass.
Okay.
That's the hole. That's right there what you see here happening, okay? That makes perfect sense. For me, there is no question whatsoever. And that's how you have the deflection and a couple of little pieces here, here, and here, and a larger one follows this trajectory, all right? The larger mass retained, the larger piece of 30-06, much faster than 9mm, goes all the way and hits here. And of course, you have smaller pieces that hit here. Makes perfect sense. I see no discrepancy with this. But of course, we would have to assume that he was in fact wearing armor, which apparently has been denied. But again, people do lie, and I perfectly understand why they would lie specifically in this case, because you don't want lunatics going for headshots from now on. You want people, you're a VIP wearing his armor, all right? Folks, that's going to be all for now. If you like the video, you think you'll learn something different this time, subscribe to the channel. You have the option right there. And as I was saying before, you have my books in the links there below on Amazon. Have a great day. Take care.